appreciate the efforts of the guys, man. We just weren't good enough, to be quite honest with you.
Organizationally, we have to be better. The process starts now.
Moving forward happens pretty quickly.
DK Metcalf is headed to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mr. Rooney called me and was like, am I ready to be a Steeler? And I said, yes, get me in the black and gold.
The Pittsburgh Steelers select Derek Harmon.
Caleb Johnson.
We got a lot of guys with Steeler DNA.
Breaking news, Aaron Rodgers is now a Pittsburgh Steeler.
I'm excited about making this home.
We traded for Jalen and Johnny Smith.
This is a story franchise. I just want to play football.
The Pittsburgh Steelers and T.J. Watt reached agreement.
It's going to be a special year.
And so now we're embarked upon this journey that will be our 2025 season.
Here we go. This pass is caught and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. We have finally made it to kickoff weekend, and the Steelers have drastically changed their roster due to multiple trades, big free agency signings, and, of course, the draft. This season, they have a new starting quarterback, wide receiver, and running back. And for more on how we got here on the eve of Week 1, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's standing by with Coach Tomlin. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. Here we go. A new season is upon us. Right off the bat, lots of changes for the Steelers in 2025. Here to talk about that is head coach Mike Tomlin. Coach, you guys made a lot of changes. But first, I want to ask you about year 19 for you. This has been going on for a long time. Have you changed? What have you learned about yourself in 19 years?
I certainly have changed. I've changed a lot. I think the job requires me to change. I need to be what they need me to be, and certainly that changes because trends in the game change. Points of emphasis, the rules, and the players themselves. And so I'm a product of my life experience, and certainly a lot has changed in this job over 19 years, and I've had to change with it.
One of the big changes you guys made at quarterback here, you brought in Aaron Rodgers, and from all accounts, he seems to have fit right in. You've had a long discussion in the offseason with him leading up to his signing. What do you see from Aaron Rodgers that makes you think that he is going to be the guy this year?
Because I'm in the industry and space, and I've been in for a long time, I've known certain things about him that maybe the media narratives don't represent. This guy has a love affair with football. He loves the process. He loves to work. He has really good patience, and he's engaging with young teammates. And so I knew all of those things about him, and so we've gotten what I've anticipated as opposed to maybe some of the narratives that are capable of being out there. He's been a breath of fresh air. He loves to work. His talents certainly are unique and have been unique. And so that remains the same. But I'm equally as excited about the intangible quality that he brings, particularly as it pertains to his liking to work in relationship with the game.
Other changes, George Pickens no longer here, but you brought in DK Metcalf and immediately signed him. And the guy is a big-time, I look at him as a freak of nature. What are your expectations of him with Rodgers as a combination?
I expect him, quite frankly, to be dominant. He is a matchup issue, one that we're intimately aware of. We competed against those guys rather recently. We played them late in the season out there in, 23 in a significant game. And so we know what he does to defenses, not only defensive players, but defensive coaches in terms of being sensitive to the matchup component of him. And a guy like him, their impact goes beyond their statistics. It is that matchup component. It is the opportunities that they provide others because of the things you have to do schematically to minimize them, particularly in situational moments.
With him there, he's going to garner a lot of attention, obviously, but you're looking for a number two, and currently it looks like Calvin Austin is that guy. Is that something that's still kind of unfolding as this season goes on?
I think we'll always be in that number two discussion just simply because of how we're built. We have some elite veteran tight ends that we feel good about in Freiermuth and Jonnu, who can represent that quote-unquote number two at times in positionless football, if you will, in multiple tight end sets. Certainly, Calvin and Roman are both evolving as professionals and are capable of absorbing that role. But again, we're not going to subscribe to the conventions of a quote-unquote number two. We got a bunch of eligibles that we feel good about. Make no mistake, DK is a major component of it and dictates a lot of schematics, but they're going to be a committee of others based on circumstances and offensive personnel package that could fill the quote-unquote number two role.
We have not seen Jonnu Smith in a game, didn't play in the preseason, but Arthur Smith loves those tight ends. Can we expect something different from the utilization of all those four?
He is a unique matchup. He's an oversized athlete, if you will, oftentimes too big for DBs to deal with, too fast, and too knowledgeable in the passing game for linebackers to deal with. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about positionless football. He is just one of those unique guys. Had an enormous year last year for the Dolphins, over 800 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns, was a Pro Bowler, and I'm excited about it, including that in some of the things that we do.
Defensively now, you brought in a lot of guys there as well, Jalen Ramsey being among them. It gives you sort of a flexibility component to what those guys can do because they're all good cover guys, but you move them around. What do you think you're going to utilize those three? I'm talking about JPJ, Slay, and him. In what roles?
Let's forget JP and Slay for a minute because Jalen is a guy that makes it all go. He's a utility back. He can play outside corner. He can play inside corner. He can play safety. He's displayed all of those capabilities in the process. But we knew that about him, to be quite honest with you. When he came out of Florida State, he was the number one corner and the number one safety on our draft board. He was that highly regarded and displayed those capabilities in Tallahassee. And so it's not anything that's foreign to us. When he was in LA a couple of years ago, 2021, they used him a lot inside at nickel. And so he's done it in college. He's done it in the pros. That was one of the things that made his acquisition exciting for us, having the ability to match offensive personnel and specialization, unique animals like we were just talking about, Jonnu. Jalen is that unique animal on the other side that's capable of covering a variety of people or blitzing and things of that nature. And so we're really excited about him. The other guys will play more traditional corner, if you will. Talked about JPJ and Slay. They'll play outside.
All right, we have much more coming up with Mike Tomlin. We get set for the Jets, the first opponent. We'll talk in depth about what they have going for them and later the keys to the game. It's all coming up. I'm Missy. Let's go back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. And earlier this week, the Steelers players voted for the 2025 team captains. No major surprises here. For offense, the team selected Aaron Rodgers. And on defense, Cam Hayward moved into a tie for second place in team history for being a captain for the 11th consecutive year. Voted for again is TJ Watt and Miles Killebrew for defense and special teams. The 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Neither quarterback for the Steelers or Jets on Sunday is making a big deal about swapping teams. Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields will open the season against the team for which they were the Week 1 starter the previous year. For that and much more on the Jets, let's send it back over to Bob and Coach. Bob.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. It's the Jets. It's almost like trading places here. Rodgers there, now here, and Justin Fields here, now there. But they also made some changes in their coaching staff. Aaron Glenn is there now. Is it difficult to get a sense of what those guys do strategy-wise going into a new coaching staff?
It is. There's some speculation there. Whenever you don't have hard video evidence, there is some speculation. But I think that occurs for everyone this time of year. It somewhat complicates it because they're a new staff, and so there's a little bit more of that speculation. But that's not something that's foreign to us. We opened up in Atlanta 12 months ago with a new staff, first-time offensive play caller in Robinson. And so it was very, very similar circumstances. I think any of us that have been in this business any length of time, you come across those challenges, particularly this time of year.
Justin Fields is a quarterback. You know him well. How do you think they will deploy him in the mobility factor of his game? And down the field, he has not had a lot of success on a consistent basis.
Yeah, certainly mobility is a component of his game. The ability to change launch points, to move the pocket, the design running game, the ad-lib quarterback running game via the scramble. I imagine they're going to utilize all components of his game in those areas. I know that we did. I know that the Chicago Bears did. I think if you're working with a talent like his, it's pretty much common sense to deploy some of those things schematically that highlight those.
Does it help having him here for a year, just for tendency point? I mean, you know him well.
Certainly it does. But by the same token, I'm sure he's had an in-helmet view on some of our defensive schematics, which will probably make that somewhat of a moot point.
All right, talk about their running game, because I think that they're going to lean on that pretty heavily and have some guys in Allen and Breece Hall who can deliver there. You guys had some problems down at the end of last year stopping the run. What has to change there?
You know, it's a new year. I don't tote the bags from last year, but make no mistake, the run game commitment is a big component of what they do. Coach Glenn hadn't been bashful about that. They've got three really quality, capable backs that allow that to happen with Breece Hall. And Allen was a rookie a year ago from Wisconsin leading that charge. They got a varied skill set. Breece is really good on the perimeter. Allen is a tough downhill runner. Their coordinator comes from Detroit. And when you think about Gibbs and Montgomery, you think about a nice division of labor with two backs with different skill sets and a commitment to running the ball. And so we're speculating, but it's not gross speculation based on the background of their play caller and their talents at their disposal.
The Jets have a similar situation in that they don't have, quote unquote, a number 2 wide receiver, but they do have Garrett Wilson, who's a different kind of maker out there. Is that an assignment that Jalen Ramsey will have right off the bat?
You know, we're gonna ask Jalen to do a lot of things, to be quite honest with you. You know, they do have a second-round tight end in Mason Taylor, who was a big-time vertical threat in his time down in LSU, and that's a further evidence of the discussion that we're talking about, traditional or non-traditional number 2s. They invested quite a bit in that young man, and it's been reported in the team development process that he's been a significant component of their passing game. And so there'll be someone representing the quote-unquote number 2. It might come at us in the form of a vertical threat tight end and like Mason Taylor. And so we better be thoughtful about how we match up on people, certainly.
All right, let's talk about their defense, because the strength of their team seems to be they got some studs over there. Your biggest concern with their defense and try to neutralize some of their star makers?
Their commitment to the acquisition of talent up front. Quentin Williams is a first rounder. Will McDonald's a first rounder. Jermaine Johnson, opposite of Will McDonald's, a first rounder. The organization, even prior to this staff, has made a commitment to acquiring high-end upfront talent, and it happens to fit with what it is they're doing with Steve Wilkes, their coordinator. He's primarily a 4-down guy, and they ride the wave that those guys provide. They've done a nice job of the acquisition of talent to make that go. Couple that with the preseason trade to pick up Big Harrison from Minnesota. You see the commitment they've made to acquiring top quality talent up front to make their system of defense go.
Like your team, the Jets have also invested a lot in their offensive line. Back-to-back number 1 picks. You got a rookie over there, and remember, I wonder about TJ Watt, because you guys have tried to experiment, maybe moving him around a little bit, but that's a matchup that seems to be in your favor.
Yeah, I assume that they're not going to give us a bunch of looks at that matchup. They work all week like we do. That's that kid's first game. I doubt that you're going to see a bunch of on-stage one-on-one football between that rookie right tackle and TJ. I just give them too much credit to play football like that.
All right, we'll talk about the keys to the game coming up as we continue here with Mike Tomlin. It's the Steelers and the Jets. You'll see at 1 o'clock on KDKA this coming Sunday. Missy, let's head back to you.
All right, sounds good, guys. And coming up next, we check in with Merrill Hodge for our first playbook of the season. He breaks down how the Steelers defense can slow down Justin Fields and New York's offense to start 2025 in the win column. Show off your black and gold knowledge with Immaculate Prediction. Make picks each week for your chance to win autographed jerseys, footballs, or even a trip to the 2026 home opener. This week's first place prize is an autographed DK Metcalf jersey, and here's the question. Will Aaron Rodgers have over or under 250.5 total passing yards? This game is exclusively in the Steelers mobile app, so go get your picks in now and good luck. Don't go anywhere. Our show continues after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Neither the Steelers or the Jets have been bashful in wanting to run the ball this season. As you will find out in this week's Playbook, Merrill Hodge explains why who can control the line of scrimmage the best will start the season off 1-0.
Hi everyone, welcome into the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Playbook. Opening day. We're going to actually create a theme. We're going to talk about the two most important aspects to win consistently in the NFL for over 100 years. Number one, you have to control the tempo of the game. Number two, you have to control and win the turnover battle. When you win those two things, there's a high percentage chance you're going to win. Well, that leaves us opening day. There is no doubt the Jets are going to run the football. They're committed to running the football. And their quarterback, as we know, brings a wrinkle to this that is a big concern and an issue. So let's first take a look at them and how they run the football with their back. They're a strong side running team. So what does that mean? In this case, the tight end is to the right, and so they're going to run to that side. Now, initially, they do a good job with their blocking scheme. That defensive tackle right there over 75, he slants inside, and 75 does a good job of adjusting. The tackle and the tight end, they're going to double to the outside guy. What is interesting on this play, and this happens a lot, sometimes you don't get people accounted for. Now 75 will adjust to the middle linebacker. The wide receiver is coming in to block the other inside linebacker, but they miss him. But this is why Hall is so good. He makes the guy miss, and you have what amounts to almost a 10-yard run or even more than that. I mean, that's chunks of yards. That's things you can't afford if you're going to get hurt in the league with running the football. Now this one is interesting because it's 3rd and 8. They will run the ball on 3rd and 8. Most teams won't do that. But here's what the Giants did. They got 6 defensive backs. They got 6 defensive backs on the field. And when you have small people like that on the field, the Jets are going to run the football. This is 3rd and 8. There's not very many teams that are going to run on 3rd and 8, but the Jets will run on 3rd and 8, especially if you present a personnel package to them. There's a bunch of small people. They will try to run the ball at you because they trust their ability to run the football over really throwing it for obvious reasons. And on this 3rd down, that's exactly what they do. They run their big offensive line, those small people, and they smash them, and this combination of runners they have is dangerous, so it doesn't matter what down and distance it is. You present the wrong package, they're going to run the ball on you. Now, this might be the biggest wild card of the whole thing, is Justin Fields. In passing situations, here is probably the hardest thing for the Steeler defense in this matchup. Here's the rule, you can't get beyond the quarterback. That is a critical component to playing Justin Fields. His legs are more dangerous than his arm. So you have to push him laterally if he escapes. You cannot let him go vertically right away or you're in trouble. So even though it's a preseason, they probably didn't really game plan a lot of this, so you got to keep that in mind. But this is what you can't do, and if you do, this is what happens. If you get beyond the quarterback like they eventually do here, okay, everybody's beyond the quarterback. Okay, when that happens, it is over. All Justin Fields will do is score a touchdown on you with his legs because his legs are more dangerous than his arm. So the running game for the New York Jets is the primary perspective of this particular matchup. They have to stop that. If they do stop that, that gives them an awesome chance to win opening day.
And make sure you check out more exclusive content like Merrill's Playbook on the team's official YouTube page. Well, the Steelers are 11-6-1 under Coach Tomlin on kickoff weekend. Tomlin joins Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, and Pete Carroll as the only active coaches who have won at least 10 games in Week 1. It's time now for your keys to the game presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Let's send it over one final time to Bob and Coach.
All right, Missy, thank you very much. Coaches talk about thing we haven't gotten into, and that's your punting situation. You had to make a tough choice there. You had two very good guys battling out all the way to the end. You chose Corliss Waitman. What went into that decision? Because field position in a game like this could be very big.
They both were varsity, as we like to say. We just feel like Corliss was a little bit better, a little bit more consistent in the process. It maybe not have showed up in stadiums, but we watch those guys closer every day, and he's to be congratulated for his efforts. It was a high level of consistency. And a side note, in my opinion, is the fact that he's left-footed, and when you're left-footed, that creates some issues in the return game. If you remember the last year, there were 4 or 5 punts on the ground last year, punts that were tough to handle because returners don't see a lot of it. You can think about our second preseason game. We were playing the Bucks, and they had the young returner, Tez Johnson, back there, and he mishandled one of Corliss's punts. And so he had a high level of consistency day-to-day in his performance, and couple that with the fact that he's left-footed, and that generally creates problems, is why he got the job.
Plus, I imagine he had a very good relationship with Boswell last year, and he was an all-pro season. The holding aspect of it is probably big.
And really, Boz is low to no maintenance in that regard, to be honest with you. Boz is not a high-maintenance kicker in terms of who's holding, and that's one of the things that makes him such a unique athlete.
Real quick, I want to ask you about your two rookies. I know Derek Harmon's had some injury concerns, but you had Y.A. Black. Just assess those two, what you saw, and how important they will be for this season.
They've been exactly what we've expected them to be. They're big men who run. They're talented. They're certainly going to be contributors to our efforts this year and beyond.
Times have changed. Rookies used to sit and wait. Now they plug right in and play, don't they? If
they're good.
That's true. Coach, thanks very much. All the best.
You know it.
All right, we got the Steelers and the Jets coming at you on Sunday, 1 o'clock. Our pregame begins at 11:30 in the morning, and then we have postgame to follow. It's the lid lifter, as they say. The Steelers getting set for their first game of the regular season. Everyone's excited about it. We hope you are too. We'll see you next week for another edition of the Mike Tomlin Show.